Recording 2, here we go.
Hello and welcome to the Poe-Cast. I am Benjamin in a spinning chair.
And I am Christopher, staring at Benjamin in disbelief.
Whee! I'm having fun, it's okay. Whoa, I almost flipped over, so I'm going to stop that now.
If you flip over anywhere near my army of knights over there and you damage them, I will kill you.
I'm going to go sit here in the closet and talk to you from here in a safe distance away from your knights, but I might look at maybe some of your Halo comics. Or also, what are we talking about today?
We are talking about our writing. We are writers. We kind of alluded to this in the pilot episode.
Yeah, we kind of led into this in our pilot episode. This is episode 4, by the way. I don't think we numbered our last episode. No, wait.
Pilot
Episode
so
1,
I think
2,
this is going to be episode 3.
This is episode 3.
The 4th episode.
So we didn't number episode 2. I'm sorry. This is technically episode 4, but it's really episode 3.
We had a pilot episode.
Pilot episodes, they kind of screw things up for everybody.
Yeah, you know.
Yeah,
who cares?
Anyways,
it's the prequel. It's the prelude.
So anyways, as we explained in the pilot episode for those who listen, we write mostly for our personal amusement, or at least for myself. Christopher, I think, was at one point, I don't know if he still is, trying to get some professional writing out there.
I am not actively shopping anything around, but yes, I would like to be published someday.
Yeah. But we've
that's
both been working on stories. I have seen his world, actually, I won't say rise and fall, but I've seen the birth of a new world in his writing. I'm still a little saddened that Amir is gone.
It's not gone, it's just been passed over to Jonathan.
And oh, that's right, he does have Amir. And he's seen my world birth and rebirth. It's kind of like a phoenix.
I've seen your world undulate.
He literally, because I couldn't settle, but yeah, I finally found a time period to settle in. But
see, you're sad about me doing away with magic in quote unquote Amir.
In quote unquote Amir, yes, but I'm also sad about all your magical creatures being gone as well. This is going to be really nerdy for anyone who's listening.
Not all the magical creatures are gone. I've still got dragons.
You still got dragons.
Dragons are going to make a cameo.
At least you have dragons
in Queenmaker.
At least you have dragons. But do you want to talk about?
I've got more than dragons. I've got fairies.
You want to talk about your world first, since you brought it up?
Okay. Well, the sort of short pitch, and I'm not going to tell you guys much about it, because this is a book that I would like to publish someday.
Yeah.
So, not gonna. Maybe I'll post a little bit. I don't know.
Yeah, it's gonna be the same for me too when I talk.
Yeah. So we're gonna be a little bit vague. I apologize for that. So we're not actually gonna read to you the book. Though that'd be kind of cool.
That would be kind of cool, but I don't have enough written yet because school.
I don't have enough written either, and I also don't want to publish. Put it out there for too much stuff, because that is considered to be prior publishing.
Prior publishing, and people will throw a fit, and there'll be
publishers will throw a fit, yeah.
People steal stuff, yeah, not pretty. Anyways.
Well, generally we don't much mind about people stealing stuff. Generally that's not a problem.
Or big stealing. But, literally, that's my story copied and pasted and on a shelf.
Yeah. I mean, if that happens, then I'm going to throw fits.
Yeah. Anyways, I'm sorry, I cut you off.
So, what I am writing is... Basically, it technically is a medieval fantasy, but really it's like a medieval historical fiction, but it's not set in the real world Middle Ages. It's set in an alternate world Middle Ages.
Okay. I'm pretending like I don't know.
You don't know any of this.
So I can ask questions that you guys might ask.
Yeah, that'll be nice. So, the story is about a kingdom that has been invaded by enemies across the sea, and they kill the king, and the king dies, leaving no heirs whatsoever, and his widowed queen has to find the strength within herself to not only rise up and defeat the invading army to save her people, and her kingdom, but also find the strength within herself to become the queen and the ruler of the kingdom before internal strife rips it apart.
Interesting. Now, is any of this inspired by anything, like any real stories or like history, etc.?
No, though, in as much as, say, you can see parallels. I mean, actually, in my story, far fewer parallels to actual history than, say, with George Martin's Game of Thrones. Game of Thrones is obviously based very heavily off the Wars of the Roses.
Oh, yeah.
I'm also drawing some inspiration from Wars of the Roses, but also many other historical time periods. Basically, I am inspired by the Middle Ages and the politics and prejudices and power plays of that era. So, yes, lots of Wars of the Roses, lots of Tudors, a little bit, you've got Henry IV and Richard II, which I've got to get you to watch that. Shakespeare's Henry IV and Henry V with Tom Hiddleston as Prince Harry and King Henry V. Loki as King Henry V.
Professor Northcott, if you're listening, can we watch this movie in class?
Like, you need to watch these in class.
Okay, anyone who wants to take down a Northcott's class with me, her Shakespeare class, we can go and watch that movie in her class. Please. I like this idea.
I actually will be taking a Shakespeare class this semester. That makes me really happy.
Depending on how available I am with my time, I might be ghosting a Shakespeare class.
Hey, that's actually something I'm going to be doing.
And it's not going to be like Shakespeare study. It's going to be like not, let us read the book and understand what Shakespeare says. It's going to be, let's read the book and act like Shakespearean
on stage.
would.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. And that's another thing I'm doing. I'm actually going to be auditing a women authors class at the local campus. I've actually already taken the same class, but it's a different teacher. She needed people, and I was like, you know what? I enjoy learning from you. This would be really fun. I can audit the class, be involved in the participation. Yeah, I'm not going to have the time to actually write the papers for you.
But it'd be fun.
But I'm going to be here kind of giving you another person in the seat and kind of...
more feedback. Not just the person like, okay, I'm in class. I'm completing my hours. I'm done.
Yeah. And because I'm getting no hours from it, it's all the more kind of, I view it as this is a fun hour that I can go and just kind of sit and have fun.
Yeah. I kind of have a couple classes like that this semester.
And thankfully, Margaret Atwood's Oryx and Crake is not going to be one of the books we read, because I found that book to be...
The face you are making right now.
It was like you were inside a madman's head, and he was both seeing what was going on at the moment and also remembering his past, and it was like...
Wilhelm scream. Insert Wilhelm scream. Yes.
That's the best approximation I can make of a Wilhelm scream. It was a really just mind-trippy book, and I seriously BS'd the assignment on it because I could not finish that book.
I'm not telling you how many assignments I BS, but anyways.
I mean, I'm sorry. I love the teacher. Teacher was great, but that book just turned my mind to jello.
Yeah, I know what you mean there.
So, where were we?
We were just talking about your stories. I just asked you about parallels and stuff. You explained that.
We kind of and then veered
No, that's
off.
fine. We suffer... Well, I know I suffer. It's not been proven, but ADHD. I just be talking about squirrel. Did you see that squirrel running around outside, Christopher? Just kidding. But you understand.
Hey, who knows? I might actually be a squirrel out there.
But literal ADHD kicking in. Look at that beautiful pink and purple and blue sky. That's literally...
Actually, I've been staring at the side of the house.
I just kind of notice it, and I'm just kind of looking. Ah, yeah, ADHD really now. Focus. Stay on target.
Stay on target.
Yes. I guess I should talk about...
So I've kind of given you a little bit of a blabbering on about my story.
Yeah.
It's all going to be told from... I'm going to try to keep it mostly from the Queen's point of view.
Okay.
Which is going to be interesting because it's very much delving into...
It's very easy to understand as well, from one person's point of view.
Yes, but it's going to be difficult for me to write because it's a woman, a queen, and also she just has gone through this extremely traumatic experience of losing her husband. So this book is going to have a little bit of collaboration in that I'm going to be seeking other people's opinions.
I was going to say
on
you
this.
should seek people's opinions.
There's Katie,
people.
who
Yeah,
I
was going to say you can go talk to Katie.
Yeah, no, and Katie's kind of read. Katie's read what I've written of it, and she basically came to me and said, "If you do not finish this book, I will kill you because you got it absolutely right." And I was just like, "Yes!"
The little cheer. Yay! Success.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, the fact that I got what the Queen did right after she got the news of her husband's
I remember
death.
reading that. If you haven't changed it since I read it,
I have not
loved
changed
that.
it at all.
I loved that.
that is the moment that I just know is perfect. What really is giving me trouble is the morning after. I'm not quite sure what to do.
Mm-hmm.
Granted, I mean, I've also...
You're further along than me. That's all I'll say.
Hey, I mean...
Of course, I'm also writing about 6 different characters per book.
Please. I've done a genealogy of figuring out how everyone is connected.
You did that.
I'm literally going to have, dozens of characters. It's going to be total war and peace. So, let's talk about your world.
So, my world. Okay, so pretty much originally it was going to be a fantasy story. That didn't work out. I couldn't make it click somehow. I have a lot of races. Mine's very literally fantasy. There's a couple races I've designed. If you have seen our lovely little mascot, which was drawn by Zeke, that is, his personal drawing. I'll try to come up with one of my original drawings of an Oomb. That is one of my personal...
I love his thing. Actually, this is the original fan art right here.
The original fan art? Yeah, I see it right there. But an Oomb is essentially, it was my personal creation. It was based off of a Jawa, mixed a little bit with the Black Maid from, I don't remember what video game.
Final Fantasy, I believe. Final
Fantasy, but they are mainly just medieval Jawas, and I loved them.
Yeah. They're also... They look a little bit like the Wizrobes from
Legend of Zelda.
From A Legend of Zelda, specifically A Link to the Past. Because if you go to, say, Wind Waker or Majora's Mask, they look very, very different. I think it's the first 3 games, but especially that looks like from... actually, that is designed off of a Wizrobe from A Link to the Past. Mm-hmm. Which is a great Zelda game, by the way. And I love the Wizrobes from A Link to the Past because they literally look like little robed Jawas.
They do.
With a Gandalf, a giant Gandalf wizard hat.
It's literally a Jawa wearing Gandalf's hat, which when you stop and think about the proportions, Jawas are really small and Gandalf's hat is really big. So he just kind of is eaten by the hat. And when they disappear, they just kind of collapse and the hat falls around them and then the hat disappears.
Yeah, they're some of the most frightening enemies, but they are so cute.
They actually are. But anyways, yeah. So there's a lot of races in my world. A couple of my own creations, such as the Ooms,
which I lovingly refer to as the cool people.
Because when I first told him about it, he was like, "Those are cool people."
But I think they're literally they're.
If I beguiled you with their culture and stuff, you'd understand. But I'm not going to. But with all of my diverse races and stuff, I believe it was Christopher, and this was about 2.5 years ago or such.
It was a while back.
It was a while back. He suggested, he goes, I wonder if there's a lot of racism in your world. And I stopped and thought about it, and I started running with that idea. And then my dad and I got on a kick of watching a bunch of war movies, and we ended up coming across a movie called Gods and Generals and Gettysburg, which were both based on a book called Killer Angels. Okay. Now, I didn't read the book. I skimmed the book. I should really read the book. But the movie was really cool as the fact it followed multiple character storylines. It essentially followed the high commanding generals and their what they had to go through about giving orders and stuff, and then some officers below them, and then infantry, and how they all three related, even though they'd never really met each other.
Right.
And also, it dealt with the same thing on the opposing side of the army. So you have the generals for the Gray explaining what they're going to be planning and how it affected a couple of the lower officers in the Blue, and back and forth, zigzag, crisscross barrels, and that really was cool to me. So I kind of ran with this idea of my story is going to be about a lot of racism and how, well, not racism in general, but how different characters in completely different countries affected one another indirectly. As like this queen over here of the empress of the elves over here did something that somehow affected this Minotaur brave way 2,000 miles away in the north. And I ran with that, but I was still trying to settle on a time period. I even played around with it being steampunk, which Christopher cringed at the fact and quickly suggested I change it. And then I decided...
Which the fact that you haven't ever gone back to steampunk and never even mentioned it again proves me right, that was not good.
It was not a good...
pretty!
It is pretty. The sky's pretty. But yeah, you're right, that was not a good idea. But watching Gods and Generals and stuff gave me another idea. I decided to put my fantasy world in a colonial era, such as one-shot muskets, one-shot pistols, everything black powder, the tall ships, cannons, essentially Pirates of the Caribbean,
Assassin's Creed 4
Black Flag, and Assassin's Creed 3, if any of you know what that means. Black powder, wonderful ball gowns, waistcoats, etc. Elves and dwarves and orcs and such in waistcoats with pistols. As ridiculous as it sounds, but the orcs are actually not... My orcs are samurai in every respect. So they're very honorable, which is a new take on it, but I just kind of wanted to pick my orcs. That's my orc time contribution. Ta-da!
Which is very funny, because those are like the exact opposite
of what
from
orcs are
the Warhammer orcs.
From most orcs. They're really heavily inspired by Skyrim orcs, which...
Yes, I was about to say.
I stole the race, the Khajiit, from Skyrim, from the Elder Scrolls series. I hope they don't mind, but I just really like that race.
Anthropomorphic cats.
Anthropomorphic. What he said, cat.
I can't say it anymore. You've ruined it.
I ruined it. But
anyway,
yeah, what he said, cats.
But see, the thing about that is that as long as you don't steal the word and necessarily their culture,
yeah,
you're not stealing from Skyrim. You were inspired by Skyrim because
I was heavily
those
inspired.
Anthropomorphic animals have been used in
a lot of things. Yeah, because there's the Kara and EverQuest too. Mm-hmm. Yeah, same thing, just different names. But that's basically
Puss in Boots.
Puss in Boots. But my story is pretty much, as of now, there's 2 books, and there's a main secret plot, which Christopher and one person accidentally knows. Mr. Top Hat accidentally sends you my notes. Keep your mouth shut. I love you. In a bro way. Don't say anything. I accidentally sent you my secret. But
okay, well.
Yeah. It was one of those things, if I hit the send button, I was like, oh, oops, because he wanted to read some of my stuff. But the story for the first book is essentially the elves are almost in civil war because they're trying to figure out what they need to do for their leadership. At the same time, the Minotaur are rebelling against the human nations because they feel they have been segregated, etc. Then you've got the dwarves who are kind of having a semi, I don't know quite what to call it. It's more of a merchant war. You know, more about money. Trade war, thank you. A trade war with the Pucks. And
who are the Pucks?
The Pucks are the frog people, another of my slight creations.
Oh, yes, the frog people.
Yeah, slightly also inspired by things from EverQuest, but once again, my personal take. Yes.
And see, I was lobbying for the Toad people to be in your world because of the Slan Mage Priest from the Lizard Men in Warhammer Fantasy.
Yes.
Because those guys just look so cool.
They do look cool. Yeah, they're just kind of Christopher's. I kind of wish I could take a picture right now. I really want a picture. I will have to post a picture. We're gonna have to take a picture of you like this and get a picture of them and put it side by side. I'm not kidding.
There's just this giant toad.
It's just a toad which is all belly and head. He's just kind of hunched over. He's very dignified, yeah man, and he sits there with his long fingers, more oily, yeah man, and he's got this giant stick he's holding. And he's got all these little lizard guys who are trying to hold up this giant stone throne, where it's like, we're gonna get squished at any minute if we drop it. But yeah, the Pucks are in a trade war with the dwarves. Pretty much every kind of, if it's not all-out war, it's rumors of war, or paper war, if you want to call it that.
That's a good name for it.
Yeah, paper war. Just through paper and merchants and who's buying what.
Yeah.
But everything's in black powder. And yeah.
I like it.
I'm quite excited about it. Someone saw one of my maps and they started yelling about how a couple of my towers looked like the towers from Lord of the Rings from the movies, and they're like, "You stole that," and I was like, "Well, it's a temporary drawing until I actually design a tower."
Towers from.
Besides, a tower is a tower. A tower with a black spike is a tower with a black spike.
Yeah. Okay. People who yell about "I stole it" are not professionals.
Mm-hmm.
People who yell about "I stole it," if they're actually like,
I was a little offended when they said I was a Christopher Pellegrini who wrote Aragon and stole stuff. I was like, So there's this can be edited out. There's long stories about how Christopher Paolini stole stuff.
I think he stole stuff.
Like literally, blatantly stole stuff.
Okay,
I'm just saying I was a little offended when they called me Christopher Paolini.
Actual copying sections out of books,
or just
word for word,
literally, Dark Lord, this, that, and not morphing it into his own shape. It was more of just, hey, this is cool. Put it here.
See, clearly, you have the Urukai.
Well, yeah,
chasing them down in the first one. Mm-hmm. I mean, blatantly, you've got Urukai chasing them down. His magic system, fine. He did a great magic system.
Yeah, I love it.
Has it been done before? Yes. Has every magic system been done before?
Pretty much. Pretty much. Pretty much.
I mean, I think the only person in the world who is capable of creating a new magic system is
Token, who's dead.
No, is Brandon Sanderson. The guy who finished the Wheel of Time series. Robert Jordan wrote the Wheel of Time series, and Brandon Sanderson finished it. Brandon Sanderson was very much inspired by Robert Jordan.
Got it.
And Brandon Sanderson, I have learned a great deal about writing by listening to Sanderson's classes on writing, which he has several of them on YouTube. And he also does a podcast on writing with a couple of other writers, 3 other writers. He's very good at articulating why things work in writing and why things don't. And he basically has developed this law of what you can and cannot do with magic in stories. That basically, if you explain the rules of magic very, very carefully, which takes away the mysticism and mystery and wonder of the magic, you can use that magic to solve problems in your story. On the other side, that's called hard magic. You have a hard magic system. On the other side of the scale, you have the kind of mysterious, ethereal, like the elves' magic, Gandalf's magic. What are the rules of that? Do you know? No, you don't, because Tolkien never gives you the rules.
Because he's smart!
Well, okay, here's the thing. It's not that he's smart or not, it's that his story wasn't about magic solving problems. So, when you don't explain the rules of magic, you should not have it solve problems, because then you can just Deus Ex Machina at the ending, and the gods come down and solve everything, and you're like, what? You didn't put the gun on the mantelpiece in Act 1, so you can't shoot it in Act 3. You have to give the rules of the magic if you're going to solve problems with magic. If you're going to use the magic to provide a sense of wonderment...
Which is why I'm having trouble with my story right now. I've taught you about this.
Yeah. Then you can have the unexplained magic.
Yeah. Well, do we have anything else we want to talk about, or are we pretty much...
I think we are pretty much done.
All right. Well, we both have a party to go to.
We do have a party to go to.
Even though this is after the fact, you know who you are. We'll see you in a few seconds.
We'll see like a lot of you, and I will be very antisocial.
It's not your fault. It's not your fault. It's just he's in one of those moods. Don't worry.
I'm not. I'm an introvert. There's going to be a ton
I'm
of
an
people,
introvert
and then
too.
Seriously, it's going to come around like 10 o'clock, and we're like, all right, we're done. Bye.
Yeah. But anyways, I'm Benjamin.
And I'm Christopher.
And this is the Poe-Cast.
And we are done. I'm calling it done. I have to turn this thing off.